Attorney Labriello. Mr. Bell.
Here.
Mr. Berner.
Here.
Dr. Hagensfelder.
Yep.
Ms. Silverton. Mr. Wilson. Ms. Kay.
Here.
We have one item of new business. Good morning, welcome, Doctor. This is a hearing and reconsideration of a denied appeal. So you've asked for this, and you're here, and you're back. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. Joe, how's the process? Should he speak first, or do you need staff person to speak first? And this is based on this.
I think that the staff person should
Go first normally,
go first since, yes.
and restate everything, and then you will then speak.
Yeah, I mean,
Or how
honestly-
do you want, how do we do this?
So this is essentially a motion to reconsider, and I was thinking about this. I mean, this could be viewed two different ways. You could look at it in a more judicial way, where there's kind of a high hurdle for the owner to overcome the prior ruling. But you could also look at this, oh, jeez. You could also look at this as a kind of a fresh start. And we're going to just have a redo of what we've done before. And I'm going to venture a guess that that might be more appropriate given the circumstances that we're here today and Dr. Solomon's issues with not really being involved in the first hearing.
Okay,
It's unfortunately, this is just not a procedure that's
yeah.
recognized in our code.
So if you recall, he wasn't here because I believe was speaking on his behalf.
Right, which was essentially the problem.
Right. Jan, are you going to, is it Jan or Stosh? You're,
But either way, yeah, we go first, and
okay, bear with us.
Okay, thank you, Council, Mayor. So Dr. David had a rental company, or has a rental company, which is Vacasa Vacation Rentals. They were hired to advertise and rent his property at 3528 Sea Forest, or Shipwatch, whatever. Anyway, on May 16th, I happened to be looking over some of the advertisements and noticed that Vacasa had a number of properties that they were advertising that did not have an active rental license. On May 16th, I reached out to Vacasa and reminded them that there was not license for certain properties. On May 30th, I checked again, and May 30th, they did not take the advertisement down and they did not renew the license. At that point, I issued them the first ticket. Excuse me. The first ticket, which was in violation of advertising without an active license. They paid that ticket. I did send a copy of the ticket to Dr. David and also Vacasa. Unfortunately, Dr. David's ticket did not, let's see, I do have, Vacasa received the ticket, but Dr. David did not. For some reason, it was undeliverable. The second ticket was going to be May 30th. I had one of our code enforcement officers going to check the property because they still have not renewed their license. Our code enforcement officer got a picture of passes in cars that verified that they are renting after I sent the email and told them that they were not to advertise or rent without an active license. This was May 27th. They had a pass issued to renters for 7 days. At that point, I wrote my second ticket, which Dr. David did receive, and I did contact Dr. David about the problem. Being a serious problem, being 2 tickets issued, 1 more ticket would, jeopardize his license. So with that being said, I kept an eye on the property. They still did not renew the license until June 14th, let's see, they renewed the license on June 1st. But with that being said, they issued another pass for renters to be renting the property on June 2nd. So they had 2 passes issued for 7 days for each pass, and they also were advertising without a license after being continuously told that they were not allowed to do that without an active license, which did result in jeopardizing Dr. David's license. They paid the fines, and as you know, they were found guilty because they paid the fines. So, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, to Joe's point, what you've described, Jan, gets us to a decision that council rendered back in July or August or something like that. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
September
okay.
7th.
But we agreed to a appeal for the revocation on September the 5th. Is this that meeting? I've lost total
No,
track of.
it's the second one.
This is the second one. So we had a meeting on September the 5th?
So it looks like the appeal, Mayor, you had the
Yeah.
revocation order September 7th, the revocation appeal October, was it October 6th?
October.
October 6th. And then then it looks like there was some other information in here.
Further information will be provided to council after.
And then the hearing notice was February 6th. But with their dates here.
That's where I'm getting confused. The facts haven't changed.
Right.
No.
Facts haven't changed.
Okay, thank you, Jan.
Everything's the
That's-
same.
That's what I was trying to get to. What was,
We were just refreshing.
Yeah.
gotcha.
The
So no
situation.
new facts, except that after our first meeting, Dr. Solomon provided all the email conversations that he had with Wakasa as I guess, proof that he was trying to interfere, he was trying to make it right, but on the Wakasa end, nobody seems to care. Okay.
Right, and so those are facts that were not available during when the first decision was made.
That's correct.
At least not in that written form.
Yes.
And Jan or Stephanie, so we know what period that the property has not been rented. It was continuing to be rented up until the revocation, all during this process, and up until September 7th.
That's
It was
correct.
still being rented.
That's correct.
It's only been since that time, the 5 months since then, it has not been rented.
That's correct.
Okay.
It has been revoked.
But to verify what Brad just said, so during the time of receiving citations, especially between the first and the second one, I believe, the property continued to be rented.
That's correct.
Although Wakasa, and then at least with the second ticket, also the property owner were notified about the violations, but they continued to rent.
Dr. David did receive the registered letter on May 30th.
Okay, and that was still while it was rented, or the renting
It was
happened
the
afterwards?
second. It was the second group of renters went in on June 2nd.
Okay, and then just to clarify, you said that the first letter you sent was not deliverable?
Not to Dr. David.
Okay.
For reasons I don't know. It just said it was undeliverable.
Okay, so when, I think.
Did you
either
send
when
it
we
certified
talked-
mail? Just
I
a-
sent it certified, yes, sir.
But when we talked about this month ago, when I went through all these, pages of pages, I thought I was reading something that the mail officer tried to deliver, but nobody was home, and then would not the person get a sticker and then go to the post office and pick it up?
The case in the matter of how they do that is different in different areas, but we do not ask for a signature card. What they would do is if they I have to have the people either go to the post office, they leave a little tag in their mailbox saying you have a certified letter to pick up, or they would knock on the door and hand it to the person, and,
Yeah.
you know,
But
that's the
there
way
should
they would
have
do it.
been
It
some
should have been.
notification with the first letter already in Dr. Solomon's mailbox.
Yes, there should have
Got
been.
it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And just one other clarification, it was being rented during a period where there was not only, they did not have a license, and they'd been notified there was not a license, but it also had failed inspection.
It had failed inspection, and then they just never rescheduled an inspection to take place, so the renewal never took place.
So do we have to approve a motion before discussing this, or are we in discussion, or?
No. Y'all already made the motion to reconsider, so that's why we're here today. But no motion should be made until Dr. David
Right.
can present his position.
Any other questions
All
for
right,
Chan?
so further discussion is after Dr. David.
So we have a pending, there is a motion pending effectively. A motion to reconsider is pending?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
The motion to reconsider, y'all already voted to
Okay.
reconsider,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
why we're
So
here
this is
today.
now a separate proceeding.
This is a hearing, you can accept the existing order, you can create a new order.
But I just want, so we have further discussion subsequent to Dr. David's?
Correct.
Okay.
And you can question Dr. David. It's just, if you're done questioning Ms. Fox,
I do have one additional question.
Yes, ma'am.
The failure to pass inspection, didn't I read something about a gap there between the rental agency receiving that and Dr.
You are
Solomon not
correct.
receiving it?
You are correct. The inspecting, the rental inspector who did the inspection and failed to send an email to the property, or to the management company. But even after they failed it and they were aware that they did not have a license, it still took them almost a month to schedule the inspection to get it redone.
But the work had already been completed that would have brought it up to inspection standards.
Yes, it did pass inspection when they decided to go ahead and reschedule the inspection, but you're absolutely right. It failed to get the email to say that it failed the inspection. The inspection failed on, I can tell you that. The inspection failed, let me see. Inspection, okay, it was completed on, I'm sorry, 4/20 of last year, it failed. And then they didn't set it up again until June 1st to get it re-inspected.
6 weeks.
I notified them on May 30th that they had no license.
And they, it being Vacasa,
I'm sorry?
they is identified as?
I'm sorry, yes, Vacasa.
I do want to clarify, generally, because I do a lot of these, if someone has appealed a revocation of a license, the recommendation is that you let them rent until that appeal hearing. You give them their due process rights to have notice of a hearing and to be heard by counsel before you effectuate the revocation of the business license. Now, I don't recall if Jan and I had this discussion, but if she had asked me prior to September 7th, can they keep renting? I would, as long as there's an appeal, as long as they appealed, my advice is that, yes, they can keep renting until their hearing. Just so that's clear. Now, I don't know if that was communicated.
But all the incidences that were just described was prior to the appeal,
Correct.
That's
right?
correct.
Because he was notified that he has, no license, no inspection, he kept renting, et cetera. That was all prior to the appeal. So the violations that we are discussing here were all prior to an appeal,
Yes.
and that's what we are looking at.
All right.
Okay, okay, thank you, Jan. So just to clarify, Russ, the motion that was approved was to get us here.
Right. We are here.
We are here.
That's done. We're here. We're all good to make our decisions today, whether they're a new decision or just reaffirming the old decision.
Right. Doctor, thank you for coming. The floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. I see we have a new member. Ms. Kay, welcome. I'll just, the other members have already heard a few of the things I've had to say, but I feel it's important to repeat certain things. Just to get one thing out of the way, in my postal jurisdiction, when a certified letter comes, they just put it in my mailbox. It's never a problem. I don't get those little tags that you were referring to where I have to go to the post office. I got the final two certified letters without any issue. Not sure about the first and was unaware of everything that was going on until I got an email from Jan. So I purchased the place about a year and a half ago, and it was very dilapidated, and it really wasn't up to Kiowa standards. I did a complete renovation on the unit, down to the studs. All the permits, everything were pulled. I do everything above board. This is not my only property on the island, and if you look at my other unit in the Shipwatch building, I conduct business the same way. I don't sneak things through. I let the town, everybody's aware. I follow process and procedure. This, Vacasa is a nationwide company. It's traded on the New York Stock Exchange. It's a big company. It's not a small mom and pop operation that might not know what to do. They know exactly what to do. As a property owner, as many other property owners on the island, you trust your property to a management company to make sure that when there's a storm coming, the furniture is put inside, to make sure things are clean, just make sure things are running the right way. And part of that contract is making sure rental licenses are in place. To my surprise, after I did the reservation, the reason why inspection didn't pass is because Vacasa didn't let the inspector in. There was nothing wrong with the unit itself. In fact, once the inspector got into the unit, it passed with flying colors. So I just wanted to clarify why the unit didn't pass inspection, because after a big renovation like that, the town sends a separate inspector, as you guys already know, sends a separate inspector to make sure everything, the plumbing, everything is done the right way to make sure things are safe. The unit passed that inspection without any issue as well. But the rental inspection, which was different, wasn't passed because Vacasa didn't let them in. And I was unaware of all of this happening because I wasn't notified. So my first notification on this came with the second citation. And with the emails that I've sent, you can see immediately I contacted Vacasa asking them to follow the compliance regulations and rules. You can see from the responses, they said they were going to take care of everything. I had no need to worry. They'll even take care of the fine. And, at that stage, I had every reason to believe them. Lo and behold, a week and a half later, the third citation came to my residence. So I was back and forth with them for that entire month of May of last year. Over 14 emails going back and forth, asking and pleading with them to do what we hired them to do. And it really surprised me because a business like Vacasa makes money by renting. So the basic fundamental to even having the ability to rent is a rental license. This should be entry-level, first-floor stuff for a company like this. So never in my wildest dream did I figure they would let this go to this effect. And, I was very disappointed at the company. Right after the appeal, they no longer work for me. They're fired. And I just found out this morning that still they didn't even close the license. So right after this meeting, regardless of
what?
the result,
I'm sorry,
the rental license.
Oh.
It's been revoked, but it's not closed from what I understand. And, I was unaware of the closing process as well. So right after this meeting, I will ask the town to proceed on my behalf because Vacasa, once again, hasn't followed through with their duty. So I don't know, I'm just very surprised with Vacasa, and I'm still being surprised. So, excuse me. The meeting in September, the appeal meeting, Ms. Kay, my father was on his deathbed, and he died that month. So I was not here. I was attending to family issues. Otherwise, I would have been here. It was the Tuesday after Labor Day. So I tried sending a letter, which I'm sure you guys have a copy, my appeal letter. I explained everything in that letter, but I guess here with Vacasa representing me, obviously they did not do a good job. So the following month, when I was able to, I came here and appeared in front of the panel and just kind of explained everything in detail as I didn't have the chance to do during the appeal meeting. And that's when I realized that the emails weren't part of the package. So I corrected that, and here I am today. So essentially, I trusted a nationwide company to do their job, and they didn't. And the only one paying for this is the homeowner, which is me. I have done everything that a homeowner is required to do, short of going into the unit and kicking out the people, which is not the right thing to do. That violates a whole other set of laws. The relationship with any management company is based on trust, and until you have reason to believe you can't trust that company, you carry on business, and Vacasa has violated that. So I just want to reiterate once again, I no longer work with them. I fired them months ago, and still they haven't done what they were supposed to. And it's surprising that there's no penalty for Vacasa for doing all this. So moving forward, I would also hope that to protect homeowners such as everyone here, that some regulation be made where the management companies, if they put another homeowner in a position similar to mine, which is unprecedented here on the island, that they have some penalty as well, because really I'm the only one who's experienced any penalty from their inaction. I'm the one getting the punishment for something I did not do.
Questions of Dr. Solomon? Dr. David, excuse me.
Yes, David is my last name.
Yeah, I'm
But
sorry.
everybody switches it. It's not a problem. I answer to both.
And when did you terminate your relationship with Vacasa?
After the appeal meeting that month, I sent them an email saying that based on their actions and everything that's happened, and I agree with the town, actually, that they were wrong.
So specific date, and you terminated the contract with Vacasa?
Absolutely.
And that was when?
That was in September of 2023, last September.
And have you pursued a breach of contract claim against Vacasa?
Well, once again, they're a New York Stock Exchange traded company. I don't have that right.
The contract with them does not give you that right?
It does not. And every other homeowner with Vacasa doesn't have that right either. Great question.
Dr. David, my question is actually directed to Jan. I'm looking for some more information. But before I get that, I want to thank you for providing all these emails, because one thing that comes through in reading these, that Vacasa was not responsive to fixing problems. And your emails are talking of your frustration of issues not being resolved for, looking at one here, for 8 weeks. The issue I wanted to direct, that's a prelude, because the issue I wanted to direct to Jan, it comes across to me that the bad apple here is Vacasa. Now, there's an email that you wrote, Jan, on May 15, 2023. And if anybody's interested on the council, this happens to be a subpart to an email June 28th, 2023 from Jan to Mr. David, but there's an email string in it, so in case you guys are interested. The point of my bringing this up, Jan, is I wanted to ask is additional information out there with respect to Vacasa. This email that you wrote on May 15 references 6 or 7 items that have been a failure by Vacasa.
There was a number of properties, yes.
Not just Dr. David's.
Right, exactly.
So there's a pattern, and then you come out, Jan, and state, all of these rental properties are being advertised on the Vacasa platform with no rental license.
That's correct.
The point is that this is not a one-time deal to Dr. David. There seems to be a complete failure of Vacasa to take care of its clients. It's not just Mr. David.
That's
It's all of
correct.
their clients. So I just find in my mind, it's unfair to be penalizing Mr. David, but what I'm asking you, I'm getting a long way to get to where, how many more of these are out there where Vacasa is not taking care of their clients? Because there's 7 on this one email. Are there many, many more?
No, they were all taken care of after we added a late fee and also contacted the owners also.
But your
So-
email says there's 7
There was 7, yes.
that are on Vacasa's platform with no rental license.
That-
How in the world does that happen?
So what happens is, I'm not sure how they missed it, but when they go in to renew license, those were all renewals. I'm not sure how they do it. Unfortunately, their communication is so broken because their corporate office was in Colorado or something like that. So I'm not sure how that happened, but when I started going through them, April 30th was the cutoff for the renewals. When I started finding all those, we started accumulating a $1,000 late fee for each one of them.
Is there anybody else this bad at meaning a rental?
No, not that
So
I'm aware of.
This is Vacasa just falling down. All right,
Russ,
go
can I
ahead, sir.
follow up on this point? Because I think it's a very good one. I'm curious, maybe Joe or Stephanie can answer this. I'm not sure whether this falls within Jan's purview, but who is responsible for administering and enforcing Article 4 of the Municipal Code, which is the finance and taxation article, which includes the issuance and denial and revocation of business licenses?
That falls under the treasurer.
Okay, so the question then becomes, but I think these are all very, very good issues. Section 4, 315, suspension or revocation of a license. When the license official determines a license has breached any condition upon which the license was issued or has failed to comply with the provisions of this chapter, that is a condition which warrants potentially revocation of the business license. So wholly apart from the issue with regard to the individual property, should we be looking at, or should the enforcement officer be looking at issues with regard to Vacasa and potentially denying or revoking the license for Vacasa, given what appear to be numerous violations of ordinance requirements?
Yes.
I don't know if this is something that, is.
That is something that the finance director, looking through the history of the company, yes, the finance director can start that process. And then, of course, the CASA can go through the normal steps of
Right.
appealing it. But yes, the finance director can make that determination that she would like to start initiating revoking their license. And then, of course, the CASA, then, of course, all the other properties that they manage would be impacted, and they just have to find new property management companies.
And Dr.
it is-
David, what is the status of the property right now, at this point in time?
Well, it's a beautiful property that sits empty. Having had what happened with Vacasa, I drove to Home Depot a few months ago when I came to a former meeting, and I had to unscrew their lock, and I replaced it with one of my own that I purchased at Home Depot. And Vacasa no longer has access to the property because I did that. Otherwise, I'm sure their lock would still be there. They would have just not done anything. So I figured that's the least I could have done. If that doesn't say you're fired, I don't know what else does.
And what is the estimated loss of revenue for you over the last 6 months, 7 months?
Well, it's probably about $25,000 with regime payments and mortgage and such.
Net.
Yes.
Thank you.
And for your other property, you mentioned you have a second property on the island. You still work with Vacasa or no?
Oh, no, that one is being managed by the real estate company, Akers Ellis, that I purchased it from. That one had a pre-existing contract, so I just left it alone. I didn't want to be a bad guy and cancel anyone's already scheduled vacation. And so that one's managed by a different company.
Okay. So then, question to Joe. So the last time we talked about all of this in October, I believe, the question came up already back then if actually Vacasa is the bad guy here in this scenario, also given the other cases that were just mentioned again. And I believe we were left with the impression, at least I was certainly, that we cannot do anything about Vacasa. Brad is bringing an interesting twist to the scene.
I think it was more of, in regards to this particular procedure, a separate, what Brad is asking, separately we can, but for this proceeding, no.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was not my understanding, but okay, that's history, so.
Well, anyone is subject to one of these, any business entity operating on the island is subject to a revocation hearing as long as they fall into one of the categories for revocation. I think there was a discussion about clarifying under our short-term rental ordinance that
Right,
agents can be held responsible
That was it.
yeah.
for X, Y, and Z, right? Whether it's, their clients, all of their violations or negligence in dealing with their clients or something to that effect. But I don't even know that that's if they fall into one of the categories for revocation of licenses in our existing ordinance that Brad has cited, that can be initiated, but they have to go through their own procedure.
Of course.
They have to have a right to appear and
Of course.
defend
No,
themselves.
I
No,
understand.
you're correct. I think that it was also talking about within the short-term rental ordinance and this with regards to Vacasa. That was the,
And that would be my kind of a belt and suspenders approach. I think that we may be worth looking at that, but I still think there is potentially an issue raised with regard to 315. And then they would have the right to appeal under 4316 to the council with regard to any revocation of that license. So something that, I think given the fact pattern that's emerged here is certainly worth considering.
Yeah, it wasn't just Dr. David, it was many.
So, Jen,
And
do
I'm
we
the
know
only
how
one that
many
revoked, but there were others.
rental units on the island are actually working with Vacasa?
I know that right now we're going through the closing and opening 6 right now.
That's what shows up on their website right now. I think 84 show up on their website right now.
It's close to that. Now, before, all this last year, they were up to about 125. So
They lost about 30% of their business already. Okay.
Well, let's get, this is for Dr. David, and this is the reconsideration. Any other questions of Dr. David? Made all the trip, made his way down here to spend time with us.
I don't mind coming to the island.
But entertain a motion.
Is there any other discussion?
Before the motion?
Yeah.
Any other discussion before the motion?
Well, I mean, I guess what motion are we going to be entertaining? And is there going to be discussion on that motion, or is this simply discussion on kind of this
I mean, you could go ahead and make the motion.
Well, I mean, the issue, again, I think there are issues with regard, as the fact patterns emerge, with regard to the management company. I'm not unsympathetic to the issues that Dr. David has raised, and he's certainly at least pursued with his management company attempt to remediate the issues. I would make two observations that give me some pause. Number one, I actually categorically disagree with your expressed view that you are not responsible for the management company. The owner is responsible for its agents. And now, that's not to say that you weren't done wrong by your agent, and they did not act it in a improper fashion. But at the end of the day, the owner is responsible for the actions of its agents. It can't absolve that. And in my view, the most appropriate response would be to pursue potential cause of action against that agent if they failed you or if they breached your contract. I don't know what the nature of that contract is, but I just want to make that point. Again, I'm not unsympathetic to what's transpired. I get that, but I very respectfully disagree with your one statement.
I never said I wasn't responsible. Obviously I am the homeowner, but if I'm thousands of miles away and a management company gives somebody the code to get in and prints them a gate pass, and they're in the unit after I've sent at least half dozen emails at that point asking them to take down the listing, to stop, what power would any homeowner have to get rid of a family staying in the unit? That's where I lose you. Because obviously I disagree with them being there, but I did not give them access to the property. And after finding out this
We
was
don't have the
happening,
benefit of seeing the agreement that you have with Vacasa. I don't know that. It'd be interesting to see what Vacasa's standard rental agreement
regardless
says
of whatever
and what
the-
the rental agreement says with anybody that's in the property. I understand the practical challenges. I do. Again, I'm
but
not
regardless
unsympathetic.
of whatever the agreement said between me and Vacasa, I told them stop. I asked them to stop. The town asked them to stop. I asked them to take down the listing. I asked them to stop renting it. With over 100 and something properties, I'm sure they could have found unused unit and place that booking in. And
And the record
I
reflects.
can't come down, which is why a lot of other people can't come down day to day just to keep eyes on the property. That's why we use these
As
companies.
Councilmember Berner noted, that is information in the record that was not available to us at the September hearing. And so that's why I'm saying I'm sympathetic to all of that, because that
Understood.
is information that we did not have available, we do now.
Right, and I wasn't able to come in September to present that myself.
Okay. Yeah, which I think was a disadvantage, but not necessarily
Absolutely.
catastrophic. But I think it's clear that, both you and Vacasa have a clear, violation, in this case. We also learned that other property owners had issues with Vacasa, so I would like to entertain a motion.
You know, I take this serious. This is my third time for this matter. Believe me, if I was able to come in September, I would have been.
And I have zero doubt about that. That's not the point.
Thank you.
That's not the point at all. It would have been better. Maybe we would have resolved the issue already then, but
It
it
would have
didn't
been a
happen.
lot easier for all of us.
So help me again. When did we? On what date did we revoke his rental license?
His license was revoked on September 8th for a 12-month period,
September 8.
2023.
Okay. So I would propose a motion to change the timing of the revocation from 12 months to 6 months, so that basically by the end of this month, no, by the end of March, would it
So
be
March
then?
8th would be the
So
6 months.
that in March, you would be allowed to start renting the unit again. That would be my motion, that we are going from 12 months to 6 months, and Dr. David can start renting again up from that time on.
I would have submitted a motion to reinstate it as of today.
Wait, you have one motion, you have to deal with that one.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Is there a
for Dr.
second?
Heidi's
Is there a
motion?
second to Michael's motion?
That motion fails.
And the motion
Fails. Russ, you want to make a motion?
I would submit a motion to reinstate the business license as of today.
Second,
Is there a second to that motion?
second.
There's a second to that motion. Any other discussion?
So I would caution us that we are setting potentially a precedent in doing this now so quickly for other cases in both ways. One, it will not really hold Vacasa responsible for what they did. And second, other homeowners would then, come to us and say, you revoked this, why are you not revoking me? So just
Well,
as
the
a
facts
caution,
could be
and that was the reason why I moved forward with my motion, because it would, be a more clear decision to say after 6 months instead of 12 months, Dr. David can start renting again. So that was my logic, and I would caution us to do it right away for these reasons. And I also don't want to contradict the hard work of our short-term rental team.
It's currently 5 months. Within a couple of days, it's 5 months, right? September,
correct.
October, November, December, January. So we're talking about a month.
So, and I actually agree with the points that Councilmember Heidingsfelder has made with regard to the potential precedential impact. I hope that it does not, in fact, create a precedent. But I'm persuaded that, given the totality of the facts, that the 5 months essentially that has gone by without the license being in effect and losing the rental income associated with that period is sufficient to resolve this particular matter. But again, I think there are a broader set of issues that we need to look at with regard to the management company.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, so we have a motion to reinstate your license today. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
Congratulations, it was worth the trip.
Thank you, everyone.
Are we able to discuss? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Summit.
The Vacasa topic now or not?
It's not
And
really
On the agenda,
on the
right?
agenda.
Yeah.
Well,
not
I
really
would caution, now
on
there I
the
would
agenda.
caution, we have a mechanism to do that.
Correct.
Yes.
Let's,
Yeah.
let
No, that's why
let administratively.
Well, I think a mechanism without council
Right.
potentially appears they're influencing.
no, that's what I
the
was
church.
getting to.
Yeah.
Can we please have staff look at the matter of Vacasa and come back to us with your recommendation?
That's fair.
I'm not sure.
Let's just say,
What,
we,
is that what you do, Deruta, when you? what's
we
this-
normally don't come back to recommendation,
Right.
but we hear, based on the meeting and the discussion today, Gerard and I will look into, we will work on it.
Good.
Okay.
That's good.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.